Hello. The Divine Code reading for November 5th, pages 301 and 302. We are in the chapter Permissions and Prohibitions Commanded to Gentiles regarding meat. Species for which meat from a living animal is forbidden. We're partway into topic number 8. The reason why the prohibition against eating flesh from a living animal does not apply to fish, insect-like creatures, or charrettes is because the prohibition is expressed in the verse. But flesh, with its soul, its blood, you shall not eat. That's Genesis chapter 9, verse 4. So we're learning the prohibition is being learned out from this verse. So we learned that what is included and what is not included in the prohibition. This excludes all creatures for which the blood is not considered separately from the flesh in the Torah's laws of foods that are allowed or forbidden for Jews. This is like the permission to eat Aver Mimachai from a charrettes, discussed before, although there is no permission for inflicting unnecessary pain. See the Aruk Hal Shokan Uridea 62:8. So we're learning out a lot of this from the Jewish halakha, and there's parallels in the Jewish halakha that help us to understand how this applies. This concept can only be appreciated in the context that the 7 Noahide commandments are part of the Torah, which was revealed through Moses, our teacher at Mount Sinai. As explained in the introduction to this book, we see here that the concepts of Jewish Torah law, halakha, apply to the details of the Noahide commandments as well, even though the Torah's specific laws for Jews do not apply to Gentiles. So the Torah law, it's the same Torah. And so we're learning the details of the laws through the way that these ideas are expressed in the Jewish halakha. Now, it's a different, we're dealing with different laws, but we're dealing with the same language, the same concepts, the same system. So by looking at the parallel laws within the Jewish system, we can better understand how it works for the Noahide system. This is the theme of the book The Noahide Laws by The 7 Laws of Noah by Rabbi Aaron Lichtenstein. And that was the main theme of his book, is to look at, he cataloged the Jewish halakhas that parallel the Noahide laws. And by looking at the Jewish halakhas that parallel the Noahide laws, we can learn the details, how the details work of the Noahide laws. That was the theme of his book. And that's being expressed here also in the Divine Code. Even large sea mammals, for example, whales, dolphins, and the like, which are included in the Torah's category of fish-like animals. This is consistent with the fact that they were created on the 5th day in conjunction with fish. So in the days of creation, the large sea animals were created along with the fish, the teeming in the water. They are clearly defined together with fish in verse 20. Let the waters teem with swarming beings with living soul. And in verse 21, the great sea giants and all the living soul that creeps, with which the waters teemed after their kinds. This is see Midrash Haggadol, Malbin, and Zafanat Panea on verse 21. These sources state that the living soul that creeps, with which the waters teemed, refers to beasts that live entirely in the water. Malbin extends this to all beasts that reproduce in water, even if they sometimes come out of the land. So there's amphibious animals. We're not really sure what they are. Are they a land creature or a sea creature? Malbin is explaining that if they reproduce, where they reproduce is what they are. And some other rabbis have explained that when the animal is frightened, what direction do they flee? What is their natural course that they consider their safe zone? Is it in the water or is it in the land? And that's another way of being able to tell. So even large sea mammals are therefore included in the prohibition of therefore not included in the prohibition of Abraham Akai. So like whales, dolphins, and that reproduce in the water would not be included. They're counted in the general category of a sea creature, and therefore they would not be counted towards this prohibition. See Rambam, Laws of Forbidden Foods, Chapter 2, Topic 12. Likewise, all types of crawling, creeping, or slithering creatures, such as frogs or snakes, are not included in the prohibition of Aver Hakai for the same reason. Thus, the prohibition against flesh from a living animal does not apply to arthropods, that's shrimp, lobsters, insects, reptiles, that's snakes, lizards, amphibians, such as frogs, mollusks, such as snails, squid, octopus, clams, oysters, scallops, and such, annelids, such as worms, fish, jellyfish, or starfish. Note any insect-like creature is also referred colloquially as shrets. So that all these other categories of animals are not included in this. And the Jewish halakha has reasons for distinguishing animals in this way, and the reasoning also can help us to understand which animals are included with regard to the Abraham Akai, the limit of a living animal. See Rambam, Laws of Foods, Chapter 6. All types of creatures that have the specific, other than the specific ones for which a Jew has a separate prohibition against eating the blood, land mammals and birds, are not included in the prohibition of Abraham Akai. Topic number 9. Mammals that dwell both in the sea and on the land are considered as wild mammals and are included in this prohibition, such as seals, sea otters, and sea lions. See Rambam, Laws of Forbidden Foods 2:12, which states that a sea lion is considered a sea creature. However, it appears from the Talmud, Tractate Kulin 127a, that if a mammal can live outside of the water, that is, travel on land by its own power, it is called a land mammal. Thus, it can be proven from Tractate Kilim 1713 it's probably the Mishnah Kilim, that a sea lion carcass can receive its ritual impurity from a nevela. The law of nevela applies only to land animals because any beast which lives entirely in the sea does not receive Jewish ritual impurity. Since a sea lion receives its ritual impurity, it is a land mammal, and therefore it also has the prohibition of Eber Mem Hakai. The author points out that in Zafnat Pania on Rambam Laws of Forbidden Foods 212, it is explained that the sea lion is considered to be both a sea sheretz and a land mammal. So it is included in the prohibition of Eber Mem Hakai. Trete Kulin 127a, as explained by Tosafot, says that a strange Biorvi, plural in Aramaic, animals in the vicinity of the town of Nerash in Babylon are a type of aquatic sheretz. Malbin, Genesis 1:21, explains that these are strange because they also move about on the land. He asks, why are they not considered both a sea and a land sheretz? He explains that since they reproduce in the water, they are aquatic beasts and not land beasts. They are, however, other distinctions to consider. For example, the hippopotamus and sea otter mate and give birth in the water. So some of these animals are, how would you say, complicated. And there's going to be different opinions that say different things. It's usually best, especially because it's a death penalty to be eating the thing, not to eat meat from some of these questionable animals. Although if it ever went into a court case, there would be a defense argument. But still, it's best in just normal life not to eat these things. Not to eat a limb of a living hippopotamus, for example. But it's important to know that some of these animals in the Jewish halakha, some of these animals they're not shura. And when they talk about something from the time of the Talmud or the time of the Torah, it's very difficult sometimes to know which animals refer to what we can observe today. Topic number 10. In the prohibition against eating meat from a living animal, rodents in general cannot be assured to be included among the 8 sheretz creatures that are listed in Leviticus, cited above in topic 1, in topic 7. That was in yesterday's reading. Rodents in general must therefore be considered as wild mammals and not sheretz animals, since we find that some rodents, such as squirrels, porcupines, etc., are considered wild mammals. Tractate Kilian, chapter 8, and Sifra Torat Koyanin 11:27. Because of this doubt, the identities of the named sheretz creatures in Leviticus 11:29-30, as mentioned above in topic 1:7, no rodents other than house mouse, which is definitely a sheretz, can be considered exempt from the prohibition of Eber Mem Hakai. So we don't, like I was saying before, we don't know for sure a lot of these animals. You know, we get a word in the Bible, in the Torah, a Hebrew word. we don't know for sure what animal we walk around today. We don't know which animal this refers to. There's guesses, but that's all it is guesses. It's people come up with logical ideas of what they mean, but it's not certain. The only one that they're certain about would be what we call the house mouse. And so that would be the only one that would be a charette. Bats are considered to be in the category as birds. Leviticus 11:19. So one of the difficulties with this is that what we would consider modern scientific zoological definitions, while there is value to them, do not count towards the Torah law. The Torah law is according to how God created things and how God made things to work in his system. And when we're discussing Torah law, that is how the definitions apply. For scientific purposes, medical purposes, whatever, we would go with the scientific explanation. But when we're looking at Torah law, a bat is in the category as a bird, and a whale or dolphin would be in the category with the fish, because that's just the way that these things function in the Torah laws. Now, as we'll later learn, in the bat being being considered in the category of a bird, it is still prohibited as Avramim Hakai, but it would not be considered as a death penalty, as it would be if it was a mammal. But it's still prohibited in either case. Whereas the whale would not be considered prohibited, although it would still be prohibited to cause suffering to any living creature, even a house mouse. We're not allowed to cause suffering to. Thank you.